Welcome parents and teachers to tonight's webinar, Surviving the Back to School Transition, especially if you are a parent of a child with ADHD. Now, I just wanted to be just upfront. First and foremost, I do understand. I understand how difficult from spring to now has been for families. We have seen this in the office. We have seen regressions in our kids who are making such great progress. And I know that this time in particular, going from summer break to back to school can be one of the most challenging times. And we sound this off every year. We want every school year to be the best one for your child so that they are thriving and that they are successful, because that's what's going to build up those life skills as adults. So do you have a child who is just starting school, entering kindergarten or first grade, or maybe they're transitioning to middle school or starting high school? Do they struggle with focus, with attention, just staying on task, with transitions? Because we know one thing is certain with these children, with these fast-paced kiddos, is if they don't know what's coming around the pipeline, that's when they bust. That is when we get the big lashbacks and sometimes defiance and a bunch of other things. But as parents, you may feel like you have done from A to Z and trying to do a bunch of different things just to find that it worked for a little bit and then you plateaued, or it didn't make a difference at all and you're just wondering what you can do. Obviously, one of my goals is to help you understand how your child is viewing the world around them, how it is that their bodies are working, and some important tips to help you during this transition so that this can be one of the most successful even during a pandemic. My name is Dr. Michelle Doherty. I'm in Naperville, Illinois, out of Lifetime Health and Wellness. I'm a pediatric doctor and been helping guide families for over 14 years. And this year is no different than any other. There's the same common denominators out there. We're just adding another layer of stress to the mix. It doesn't make it any easier. It does make it tougher. So how I wanted to begin, I'm going to just share a couple of slides. So we'll get going here. There we go. So with our fast pace, the one thing, I guess, if we can be grateful, is back to school is starting a little bit later. Some are starting after Labor Day. Some are starting in the next 2 to 3 weeks. And where we're located, we are surrounded by about 3 to 4 school districts altogether. And ultimately, where we're at for the public schooling system, it is going to begin remote for all, at least through the first quarter. And depending on where you're tuning in from in the country, you may have the option to do in person. You may want to know how to set yourself up for success if you're starting remote, and then may have the option for in-person later on. So these tips and tactics are going to be advantageous to take note of. So this is the time of year where it is the most challenging, and there we go. One of the most challenging times of year for our go kiddos. In our office, we call them kind of the raging bull, the fast-paced kiddos, gas pedal kids, so on, because they pick up and feed off of high energy back to school. So they are so wound up on the inside. They have all this extra excitement, maybe some anxiety. And then you fall short again every year. And it's the equivalent of asking them to climb a mountain with a broken leg. We need a guide. And we understand everyone has different learning styles. This may be to your advantage with remote learning, or if you choose to homeschool even, is finding out how your child best learns and trying to be an active guide to help them out. It is, it's an additional job that as parents, we didn't sign up for this. We need to follow suit, we need to adapt. And it does start with us as parents because, again, your child is going to feed off of you. And the way they start the school year is going to dictate how the rest of the year is going to go. And if your child was like so many others that struggled with those last couple months of school, we know that the remote learning of, this pandemic at home learning is going to be very different than how many of us are going to start the school year. But nonetheless, we want to take into account that there is added stress, there's physical, chemical, and emotional stressors. And so we're going to be breaking a lot of this stuff down and just sharing what you can do to help. So challenges that parents and kiddos with ADHD face on the daily and with the back to school transition is we got to start off with bedtime. Bedtime kind of, it wavers. That routine goes by the wayside during summer. And I think that this summer in particular was the first time that we could just take a break. Okay, the pandemic at home learning ended. We are searching for normalcy. We know family vacations have had to take a different spin, but right now we're all just trying to soak in those last couple days, couple weeks of summer, getting some, making some new memories, taking some time to go in a different environment and just having good one-on-one quality time. So knowing that we're a couple weeks out, this is a great time to start establishing some better routines. So we know that, again, if they're not getting good restful sleep, then their focus and attention the very next day is not going to be ideal. And when these fast-paced kiddos, when it appears that they have these unknown outbursts, it's because they're so ramped up. They may still be nervous about what the state of affairs is in our country right now. They may have some fears brewing in. It could be around the virus itself or not being able to see their friends as often, but it doesn't need to be this way. We're going to be spending a little bit of time on this slide here because these are going to be 4 ways to survive the back to school transitions. Just look at it from very different angles. So first off, we need less stress coming into their system, number 1. With physical stress, we know that if they are not moving their bodies, they are spending a lot of time behind the tube or gaming or behind a tablet, that is actually slowing down their neurological function. And we know that they are seeking out these fast-paced modalities like technology because they're trying to keep up with the inside. So we know that if we keep having an outside-in approach, it's just this feedback loop that keeps going on over and over again, and they're not breaking out of this pattern. And so it's going to come out in their behavior or their output. So then it appears like there's a problem, and it's just basically it's a challenge with calming the system down. So we need to keep our kids moving. And as the days get shorter and there's fewer hours of light, it's still going to be important to keep that a priority. Being aware of emotional stress. Do you have a routine during the school year, not during the school year, to discuss your day, look at gratitude, talk about what went right during the day, celebrating the wins, sharing challenges, you as parents, but also the kids, where you can come around the dinner table and have that be your time of winding down and sharing and collaborating, and then hopefully giving them some space if they just need a time, kind of a mental time out, that they have that and they know that they're not going to be judged, but they are going to be supported. We know chemical stress, being mindful of what we are putting into our kids' systems or what we're allowing them to ingest can be huge when it comes to energy and distraction. So key hitters are going to be things like gluten and dairy and sugar and dyes. Those are big ones that can overload the system. And we know that our blood sugar is responsible for our mood and our energy. So if our mood is erratic, we're not going to be able to keep on task. If our energy is slumping or spiking, we're not going to be able to focus. So it all matters. And it's not just a one size fits all approach or just saying, hey, take this supplement, everything's going to be great, or just use this essential oil or do this therapy. And that's it. We know that we need a multi-pronged approach. We need community, we need support, we need to be guided through this. Helping calm the chaos. So to slow their internal system down to see the external system calm. This is as pediatric chiropractors by utilizing specific and gentle adjustments that stimulate that calming side of the nervous system, the parasympathetic nervous system. This is our healing, our immune, our growth and development, our digestion, our sleep, all of that stuff. It's so imperative to be on top of that now because there's so many adults that are ramped up on the gas pedal and they can't even wind down their own systems and they become addicted to caffeine during the morning, alcohol at night, like just trying to regulate. And we need to give our kids better tools. Better cope with the craziness and getting a guide in the process. Your kids get to be the hero of this story. And what we want to do is help guide. We know that there's a lot of outside resources to cope, but even with calming the chaos, everything from breath work, yeah, I do want to share this. So breathing, when was the last time, even you as adults, just focused on breathing from your abdomen, from your diaphragm, just the belly breathing? Anxious breathing is going to be coming from up here. And it's going to be short and shallow breaths, and it's less oxygen to the brain, and it just revs up those adrenal stress glands. It does the same thing to your child. We need to get back to basics of belly breathing and having a 4-second rule. So inhaling for a count of 4, exhaling for a count of 4. You can even hold for a count of 4 in between and repeating it 4 times. That's a great way to instantly reset the system. Again, that's an outside-in approach. Chiropractic care is working more from the inside in, especially if you feel like you have done all of the things and you've plateaued, and your kid would be a great candidate for chiropractic. One of the things too is that by adding chiropractic, that what it basically does is it brings an awareness to your child's nervous system, and it helps better direct them on where they need to focus. And it kind of calms the outside distractions. They're able to sit still a little bit better. They're able to stay on task a little bit longer. But we have an advantage with this remote learning, with building in these breaks. You're going to know your child better than anyone, better than any teacher out there. So we need to feed off of their cues and have a little bit of wiggle room as we are all getting used to this new process. But the key is, we are honored to help guide families in their journey to just more ease overall, because we know that translates into better performance, better development, and just better adaptation. So we're going to cover tips for thriving this school year. Before I dive into that, I just wanted to share a quick story about a kindergartner who's going to be a first grader. We're going to call her Layla. And she came to us as she heard about our practice, but more importantly, her parents, who are essential workers, and they are working long hours. They have 2 children, and Layla is the oldest. So she is 6 years old now, and she had trouble just being able to go to sleep. She would need to have her parents by her, for up to an hour. They'd have to be curled up in the bed with her for her to wind down. She had terrible transitions, outbursts, tantrums lasting on end. They were like, oh my gosh, it's like the terrible 2s or 3s all over again. And she's 6. And, not getting along with their sibling, which we know that it's common, right? But I mean, this is above and beyond. This is a child that had become increasingly more defiant and even physical with her outbursts. She just was so amped up and just didn't have the ability to calm down. So over time, after we were able to get a better look to see how her nervous system was functioning and seeing where we had some stuck patterns that was impairing and altering how her body was able to function and interpret and perceive her environment and process all of that stuff, we found that sleep was one of the first things to start in her case to get better, where her parents were able to have the routine down, turn off the lights, and then being able to leave, and they weren't having to stay. That was a huge win for the whole family because moms and dads, you've probably been there. But to know that you can sleep again and feel refreshed and be able to do your job, whatever that may be, whether it's in the home, outside of the home, and then have a kid who's ready, able, and willing to want to learn and be part of school and have decreased anxiety and just do the things and enjoy life again. It's huge. It's huge. So she's looking forward to first grade. And is it going to be challenging? Have some of the kids that we've been helping and work with? Yes, especially toward the end of this past school year. But another young girl, so she's in middle school, 12-year-old girl who has been prone to anxiety for the longest time, and she had more ADD symptoms. So not so much the hyperactivity, but more the internal anxiety and the lack of focus. And she too had sleep issues and poop issues. So we know that if your system is revved up, then these other systems can't work properly. They just can't. You can't be on the gas and the brake pedal at the same time and expect to be fully functioning. So with her, her focus was getting better. She was getting more organized. She was taking advantage of her gifts. She was more type A, if you will, but she had her planner. She knew what was coming down the pipeline, so nothing could sneak up on her, so to speak. So she was more calm. She was sleeping. She ended the school year strong, even though the grades didn't count at the end of the year, but she felt confident, even though we had this pandemic going on, which could have completely derailed someone who, in her situation that maybe, was not having chiropractic as part of what they were doing. But a major, major win I have to share is during the summertime, as this family is trying to find, a sense of normalcy in a world of wearing masks in public and, not being able to travel, so on, was able to have a sleepover where for the first time in her life, she was able to stay the entire night. She has never done that before. She's always had to be picked up because she was so anxious and didn't want to be the first one to fall asleep, and just the unknowns and the newness and just not willing to try a different experience. And she was able to do that. And for something that could seem like not a big deal, or something that your kids do all the time, this was a big deal. This is a young girl who's about to be a teen and has a lot of things coming at her every which way, and just to see her body just thrive, just her whole outlook being better, her smiling more, it's been incredible to be witness to it and just know that she's going to be okay. And the one thing I have to say, parents, is it is going to be okay. I know it is tough. It has been such a trying time, especially for you. Your kids are feeling it too in a different way. And just know that we are in the messy middle of it. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. That's why we do webinars like this, is just to make sure that you have tools and you can count on people in your community like us to help guide your kids and your families. So one huge thing is establishing routines with repetition. I'm going to say that again. Establishing routines with repetition. As I mentioned before, the time is now before school gets, fully going on, is to begin with the bedtimes. I know it's still really bright out at like 8:30 at night, but there's blackout shades. We have those fancy eye masks that, you can block out the light, because we know how important melatonin is for getting these kids to sleep. And the routines of not just making sure we have the same bedtime, but yeah, laying out clothes the night before, even if you're starting with remote learning, because the less you have to pivot like 180 degrees, the better. So even when we all get back to in-school learning, doing all the prep work as if you're going back to school, even if you're remote learning or homeschooling. So laying out those clothes the night before, getting your shower, bath time in, teeth brushed, story time, the whole bit, because that will set you up for success for the next routine. So right before school starts, so when you're, eating breakfast, brushing teeth, making sure that you have everything that you need. There are so many ways to simplify breakfast even if you are going to be working remotely. Overnight oats, that's one of my favorites. Many parents will kind of prep these little like muffin type quiche deals, to last them the whole week, just to make it quick and easy. Because the easier we can make it for our kids, the more open they will be to what's coming down the pipeline. After school routines, well, one, we got to get a snack. We got to nourish that brain that's been working in overdrive, especially a protein and fat-based snack to support that brain and healthy functioning. So snack time, homework, playtime. This is the thing that they are really looking forward to. And when it comes to screen time, that could be more of a treat that is timed. And all they feed into other. And as they say, the more repetition, it becomes a habit, it becomes second nature. This is what we can expect. There's less anxiety, less stress for not only the kids, but for you as parents. All right, quieting the noise and the stress on the inside. So we alluded to some of the calming techniques such as breathing. Also just compression and squeezing. There are a lot of kids that, they have sensory challenges. They may be sensory seeking, they may be sensory avoiding. And as you find with remote learning, they may be more fidgety. We may need to take a bounce break. You may need to have them on an exercise ball and they can do the ABCs on it. You may want to, especially while the weather is nice, take a couple laps, right? Outside, that is, maybe not around your house, but you can change it up between walking, using the scooter, biking, taking a different route. The possibilities are endless. One new thing that we found, and we actually found this at the end of the last school year, for the life of me, I can't remember the name of the store, but they have these large foam exercise dice. So it's just a bunch of fun, to see my little guy, roll the dice and it'll say 10 jumping jacks. And then I'm right there doing it with him. You as parents need to lead by example, play with them, be engaged with them. That is going to help settle down the noise that's happening on the inside so that they can be more calm and be more receptive and open, to learning. Premium fuel is going to yield premium performance. So if we think about our kids' bodies as like a sports car, the reason sports car, because they're going really fast. And we know that they need effective brakes. If they don't have effective brakes, they kind of spin out of control. So what we're talking about is there's a couple angles, right? So we need to nourish their system first and foremost with colorful things, eating the rainbow. If you need to sneak in those veggies somehow, if you need to do smoothies, whatever you need to do, we need to have them experiencing different colors for different nutrients that's going to feed their brains. They are so used to and they crave the fast-paced foods. So what we're talking about is sugars and processed foods because that gets burned up the quickest and it gives them that extra amp that they think they're looking for, especially like the crunchy, bland, white foods. We need to, that's why even just having a garden out there, something they can take part of and actually being able to taste their harvest and just making it fun. We can make faces on things. You can have your vacation day when it comes to food, like once a week. If you guys really do like pizza, then, having a vacation day for that. What else? Screen time. So lessening screen time overall, especially before bedtime. especially that hour or two, if you can, before bedtime. They love the gaming, they love the shows and the cartoons, and there's nothing wrong with them individually, but too much of anything is not a good thing. And what that does is, you know, the blue light we're getting from these devices and so on. One, our kids are less active. They're not working on their interpersonal skills. It is affecting hormonal production, melatonin production. It can make it a lot more difficult as you're trying to put your best foot forward with bedtime routines, but then we're sabotaging with allowing them to be on their devices, you know, within 30 minutes of bedtime. So that would be a good thing. Just more engagement overall. If we're not doing screen time, what can you be doing? I mean, whether you have a pet or not, going on family walks, enjoying the fresh air, bike rides, you know, whatnot, old school board games, cards, just a great way just to be together. And, you know, if there's anything that this pandemic has shown us is just the importance of quality time. And this is where, yes, you know, the technology has been great to be able to keep in touch with loved ones and friends. And we need to keep the connectivity very much a part of their lives. But that would be something where, you know, after schoolwork is done, play could also include that sort of stuff. Exercise and movement. Our brains develop based on how well the motor system of our body is engaged. So we need that, and especially little boys, as compared to little girls, they need more physical activity because their bodies, their brains are a little bit more fast-paced than the girls, but we've seen them happen equally. So being able to allow for those breaks, those energy breaks, exercise dice, jumping jacks, calisthenics, whatever you need to do, make it fun, make it fresh. And I know the schools are trying really hard to give guidance with that because we know PE is going to be on us, right? So be looking for some different things. If there's Facebook groups, you know, in your community, even for remote learning, that's a great way to crowdsource. And I would encourage you, parents, to take advantage of that, you know, offer solutions, ask for help as well. You just may discover something that you wouldn't have thought to try before. So all of this is to say, we don't just want to survive by the day or by the week or even just getting through this quarter like it is in my school district that we have. We know that we're going to be remote for all for this first quarter, and then we'll see. Either way, we want to set things up for success, whether we're going back in person or let's say it remains this way for the whole school year. We hear you. We want things back to normal yesterday, but we need to live in the present. We need to just trust that, you know, things will get better because they will. They honestly will. And, you know, this isn't the first time that there has been, you know, something like a virus that has come around and has created such havoc to our daily lives and to just how the world is working right now. It's not the first time, it's not going to be the last time, but we need to make sure that our kids are strong for the future because we don't know what's going to be ahead for them, but we all need to learn in this together. And if some of the analogies that we had, if that sounded like your kid at all, we want to be able to, we would love to be part of your journey, your child's journey, and just trying to make this transition as seamless as possible. You know, some of you parents who have kids who struggle with sensory or with focus, you know, we know tough times of year are going to be winter break and spring break, but especially now. This is the time now. Let's set some good tools in place and allow them to become habits and crowdsource and reach out for resources. If you're tuning in outside of Illinois and you are wanting to get in contact with a pediatric chiropractor that utilizes the neurological scans, that is able to detect patterns of stuck stress on the nervous system that's not allowing their bodies to function as fully or optimally so that they are able to have that ease, have that calm, have better focus, not have so many outbursts, still reach out to us. We're part of the National Family Wellness Alliance. So we're part of a network of doctors who do these types of webinars, who are solely focused on kids thriving in today's world. We will get you connected. Please reach out if you have any questions, and we would love to see any comments on here. Just if any of this resonated with you, if you have any questions, but we look forward to connecting with you real soon. Good night, guys.